Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to today's video. I wanted to do a chit chat, get ready with me style video because some things have been happening and I wanted to share them with you. I typically don't do these kind of videos, but today we're going to be talking about I left my full-time job. We're going to be talking about what I'm doing now, and we're going to chit chat about makeup while I'm doing it because some of it is makeup related and some of it isn't. If you guys are new here, I'm Stacy. I feature unfiltered makeup opinions and honest reviews. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing to my channel. Let's get into this. Get ready with me. Let's just talk about makeup and talk about what's going on in my life. All right, guys. So first, we're starting out with the Marshmallow Primer from NYX. I did do a video on this where it was like one of those superly virally hyped makeup products, and now nobody talks about it. So I will link that either in the eye or the description box down below so you guys can check out that video. For foundation today, I'm going to be using the Dewey foundation from Maybelline. This is the Fit Me Normal to Dry foundation. I recently rediscovered this one and did not like the original formula, but I also really feel like if Maybelline had come out with this one first, I probably would have been way more adept to purchasing it. Let's talk about what's been going on lately. If you guys may have noticed, there's been a lot of activity over on my Instagram, a lot more makeup activity because back in February, I left my full-time job. I kind of posted about this. Ironically, I was wearing the same outfit that I'm wearing today because it's like that cold outside. And in February, I left my full-time job. The whole thing behind that was I was struggling mental health-wise a lot with juggling working full-time. Also, struggling with juggling my kids and things going on with my kids. And overall, it just mental health wise, working full time and being a mom, it was not meshing well together at all. I had a very high profile role. Absolutely loved it. It was amazing to have a boss who understood what it meant to be like a mom and work full time. But my son, my oldest child, he started having problems in school, and it was to the point where some days he was getting sent home because he was having so many issues at school. And here's me working full time, trying to be a really good mom, taking care of a house, taking care of a family, taking care of, what I had to do at work. And it was just way too much for me. And I ended up having a really bad mental health issue back in October. When I returned to work, my husband and I just realized that, with all the responsibilities that I have and still figuring out what was going on with Braxton, all of that, it was best for me to leave my position where I was and pretty much just be a mom, be a stay-at-home mom, take care of the house, make sure my kids were taken care of, and then also grow my side hustle, which has also now become my full-time hustle. So it's been quite an adventure since October, and to think that was about 8 months ago that, that happened, and now we're halfway through 2023. I'm a little bit more ready to talk about it. Being a mom and working full-time, it's hard. It is so hard. And then on top of the fact where, if your child is sick, they have school that is closed, or, they are having problems at school where, they're being sent home, which did happen a couple of times for Braxton, then it makes your life as a parent that much harder. And that was a big chunk of what I was dealing with, was some of the transitions that my son was going through and really figuring out how Clay and I could help him. I was working for myself partially before I started working for my full-time position, and I had started a digital marketing firm about a couple years before I was hired full-time at this company that I worked for. And it was just more of a side hustle. I did it as needed for extra cash. And it was during COVID that it really took off because crawfish business was booming. People were able to stay home and boil their crawfish. And so that's kind of how my entire business really just kind of built and flew off. So it was really easy for me to work at home. It was during COVID, didn't have to worry about it. And eventually my side hustle became more and more and more on top of like doing YouTube and everything else and working. When Clay and I decided that like leaving my full-time job was going to be a thing, we were like, okay, pursuing and creating this work from home environment where I work for myself. We wanted to make that happen. I wanted to make that happen because it's a passion of mine, always has been, to have my own digital marketing agency and, you know, help brands, help companies just grow their business. When I worked for the crawfish companies, they reported they saw their sales doubling, tripling within a year. So I just used the Superstay Activewear Concealer. If I miss like mentioning a product, look at the description box down below. I'm just going to put on some setting powder with the e.l.f. Halo Glow setting powder. Love this stuff. It's so good. So as soon as I left my full-time job, it was one of those things where, okay, time to pursue again. Time to make this a full-time thing. Time to make it more of a livable wage. At the time, I was working for a couple of brands and I ended up helping like launch their websites. And since like I left my job, I've also helped quite a few small businesses relaunch or launch new websites. And it's just been quite a journey. And so as of February, I have been completely like making my own revenue, working for myself, creating my own schedule. And it is all through my digital marketing agency. And I I love what I do because I'm very passionate about it. And a lot of the companies that I work for now, I'm very passionate about what they do. And I love working with them because they are passionate about what they do. And I love being able to help them tell their story, to help them digitally market and spread the word about their product. And it's just been like quite an adventure, like starting my own company, continuing to be a part of like doing things within my company, um, creating growth plans and creating, you know, like plan creating a growth plan. That was like the biggest thing. Redoing my entire website, that was huge. Like rebranding my entire self to be just digital marketing, because at one point I was like partially digital marketing, partially like portrait studio photography. And when I quit my job, the first thing I had to do was completely rebrand myself as solely digital marketing, and I gave up portrait photography completely. Like I don't actually do portrait photography very much anymore, and that was like a huge part of who I was. And as of like in February, I gave that up, switched my complete website to digital marketing to focus solely on what I do as a digital marketer, building websites, social media, graphic work, like all that kind of stuff, product photography, but not portrait photography, product videos and all of that. And so that was one thing that I had to do as soon as I quit my job in February, was like completely refocus. And ever since like refocusing everything, I've helped a lot of brands launch their websites, relaunch their websites, both local companies and international companies. You know, it's just been quite an experience. I'm using the Lasting Fix from Maybelline, best stuff ever. And so also when I was doing that, I had to create a growth plan for myself. And one of my biggest goals for 2023 was the fact that I wanted to, by the end of the year, be making enough money to hire an assistant, somebody who could do the books for me. So like light bookkeeping, being able to hire somebody for like 5 hours a week to do some light bookkeeping, some copy editing when I'm writing websites and when I'm writing copy for websites. And so that is still like my goal as of like June of 2023. That is my goal, to still have somebody hired on to do some bookkeeping for like, you know, a couple hours a week so that they can make a little bonus cash if they need to, or even start their own virtual assistant like business or anything like that. So that's like one of my goals for 2023. Owning my own company is like adding to my team. I feel like it's a very big, big goal, because most companies lose money within their first years of operation, and then they start making a profit. And that's like my big thing, is to be making enough profit to be able to hire somebody by the end of 2023. Now that I work for myself, I work at home, it's just been a completely different experience altogether. You may have noticed that like my uploads are a little bit sporadic here and there and in between, which that happens because I'm working for myself, and sometimes I just don't have time to film a YouTube video, or I have time to sit down and film it, but it's like editing it that takes me a little bit. So being able to do those sorts of things, like my hobbies, has been kind of put on hold because I am creating a career that I don't need a vacation from, which is like another goal of mine, is to create a life I don't need a vacation from. That was my other goal when I did my growth plan, was creating a life that I don't need a vacation from, creating just an atmosphere for myself where, you know, I can take a break, I can work whenever I want to, and I can take days off. Or like if we're on vacation, and not saying that I really want to do this, but I have a feeling it's going to start at some point. Like if I'm on vacation and I have to work, at least I'm able to work while I'm on vacation. And that's kind of the risk and the approach that I have with, you know, owning my own company. Obviously, I'm still creating a work-life balance, and it's nice to be able to like name my hours. It's nice to be able to work when I want to work and not when like I have to work. I mean, now that I work for myself, I get to spend more time with my children. I typically get up in the morning, so I get to wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning versus like 5 o'clock in the morning. Get to spend the morning with them and get them on the bus. Then I work, or I'll film a YouTube video, work more, clean my house, make dinner for my family, and I just have time to myself when I am when I'm when I'm home, because my kids are at school and my husband's at work, and I'm able to keep a tidier house, get things done that need to be done. You know, while I have had this time off, while you know, ever since I left my full-time job, things for my son have gotten a lot better at school, and he hasn't had any kind of mishap, like he hasn't had any kind of hiccup at school since I left my full-time job. And on the day that I was my last day at work, it was a Friday, and my son was like, "Mommy, it's your last day of work. I'm so excited." Like he was just so pumped. He was telling everybody at school. His teacher had mentioned to me how excited he was that, you know, mommy was going to not be working outside of the home anymore, and that mommy was going to be with him. And when I left my job, it really opened up a lot of things for me mentally as well. Um, I'm gonna cry. Usually I don't cry. It really lightened a load for me mentally when I left my job, because of all of the things that are constantly on my plate as a full-time mom, as somebody who had a side hustle working full-time as well, and then also these things that were going on with both Claire and Braxton at school. And it was a lot mentally for me to like really just like load. One of the biggest things was like after school care for Braxton. When we moved to our new home, which we've been here for almost a year now, I found out there really wasn't any after school program for Braxton to be able to go into. And my husband and I were struggling for months and months and months about the fact that we had no after school childcare for my son. And he gets off the bus typically at like 3:30 in the afternoon, and my husband would have been at work, I would have been at work, and we had no childcare. So for the longest time, Clay and I were juggling that as well. And at one point, Clay was fully remote, so it wasn't something we had to worry about. And it became an ever-pressing issue when my husband had to return to the office full time. I'm just using the Natasha Denona Yucca palette. I did prime my lids with this Ulta Beauty Matte Cream eyeshadow in the shade Game Over, and it's just to have like a nice base. So Clay and I were struggling with finding childcare for Braxton. And, with him getting off the bus at, 3:30 in the afternoon, somebody had to be here because he's 6 years old. And somebody had to be here to be able to get him off the bus. And, when Clay was working more remote, it was easier for him to be able to get Braxton off the bus. But when he returned to work full time in the office, that wasn't happening. Like, it's just, it was very stressful. And that's part of the reason why back in October I was taken out of work, because we were struggling to find somebody who could, watch Braxton after school. And it was just a lot of transition and struggle for my kids, like, during this time. So they were struggling at school, and it was really weighing on me mentally. And at the end of the day, when I told my kids, like, mom is going to be working for herself, working at home now, sh they were so excited. Like, Braxton was telling everybody, he told his teachers, he was like, "My mom's gonna be at home with me from now on." And it's really took a mental load off of me, like, more than I can say. Right after I quit my job, my son had a complete 180 at school, started doing much, much better. He really fell into his school routine, and he had such a better time at school. He's developed great, amazing friendships with a lot of the kids in his class. And, like, we actually just had a birthday party for him, and he has developed some beautiful relationships with his friends from school. It was just they were really feeling that stress. And it's just, we are in that kind of situation where I am able to work for myself, build my business, and I can be home for my kids. I have been completely working for myself 100%, and it's been the biggest, like, blessing for me. With that, I just recently launched a complete, like, one of my passions is obviously makeup. I love makeup. Like, it is just, it is it's the thing that helps me deal with stress. And it is the thing that gets my creative outlet going when I was stuck in that 9 to 5 grind and I felt burnt out just from life in general. And makeup is just a place where I can sit down, like, just look and express how I'm feeling, or just recuperate and just focus on one thing that I love that just really helps with my anxiety, and that's makeup. So, as of recently, I also launched a part of, like, my makeup journey. I launched Everything Beauty News, which is a news outlet for everything beauty, because I have a degree in journalism and I don't use it very often. And I mean, I use it with digital marketing, writing, like, product details and, like, all that kind of thing. But, like, real hard-hitting journalism, I don't use that skill as much as what I used to. I do freelance for a magazine, and I write for that about once a month. So, I mean, I still use my journalism skills, but I wanted to pour my passion for unbiased journalism into something that I absolutely am so passionate about, and that's makeup. So I created Everything Beauty News, and that is a beauty makeup channel. And I've actually thought about offering up links pages to creators as well through Everything Beauty News. So it'd be like everythingbeautynews.com / and then whatever that creator's name is. That's one thing that I have been kind of questioning. If you're a beauty creator and you're watching this video, let me know if you'd be interested in something like that. Because, like, those link trees, they're great, but you can't really do a lot of customization with it. Whereas, like, if this is a link page through Everything Beauty News, it covers you as a creator, and then it also hosts your links. I was like, oh, that might be a really cool concept for people. And then it'll drive traffic to Everything Beauty News, and people will read about beauty news. The whole concept behind Everything Beauty News is unbiased makeup news, reviews, releases on indie brands, on larger brands, on, mid-sized brands, basically makeup across the board that is non-controversial, very unbiased, unfiltered opinions, exactly like what I say in the intros to all of my videos. Unfiltered makeup opinions and honest reviews featuring creators across the board, both really, really teeny tiny like myself, but also other creators out there who are very macro. And then also, you know, beauty YouTubers who do have more of a following and featuring their reviews as well. And, you know, with commentary, obviously, as a makeup reviewer myself, I follow a lot of like macro influencers, and I follow a lot of like, they're not macro, but they're not huge either. And they're influencers who are not talked about like hardly ever because they're just hidden by the algorithm on YouTube, and really giving them a spotlight on everything beauty news if their content is so, so good, but nobody is seeing it. And that was really the driving force behind everything beauty news. And then also featuring smaller up and coming indie brands, like I said, just across the board, being unbiased, unfiltered, and just featuring makeup brands, beauty influencers from across the board who deserve a shout out. Having left my job, it has really opened a lot of doors for me mentally, creatively, growing my own business, helping other people grow their own business. That's always been like a passion of mine. And being able to do that under my own name has been like really stressful. Like mentally, it took a little bit of a load on me with some of these things projects that I have been involved in. And I'm not going to lie, like I was stressing out there for a while. But at the end of the day, I realize I need to have confidence in myself because I know what I'm doing, and I've done this a million times over and over and over again from a million different companies. And, you know, at the end of the day, I had to take control of my anxiety in that aspect and be like, look, you are a small business. The people that you work with, like, I vet the people that I work with before I actually start working with them. Like I want to know what their business style is. I want to know how they treat their customers. I want to know the quality of their product, if it's good, if it's something that I want to back. And, you know, when I get anxiety about some of these projects that I'm working on, I'm like, look, you vetted them. You know what you are doing, and you know, at the end of the day, it's going to be okay. My passion is to help your business grow through an unbiased educational approach that it's going to entice your audience without being too sales pitchy. And that's literally like the founding principle of my digital marketing company is unbiased marketing, just completely educational, unbiased. And it's a completely different approach because most marketing can be sales pitchy. And my company doesn't focus on the sales pitchy part. They focus on the unbiased, non pressure, non salesy marketing. Because at the end of the day, like you see a company, and actually, ironically, like Clay and I just had somebody come to our house who was a salesperson for a very known company. And I'm not going to say any like who that company was, but they came to our house twice. And if my husband's watching this, he knows who I'm talking about. And my family probably knows who I'm talking about as well. But we had a company come to our house the other day, and they sat in my dining room, not once but twice they came, and they sat in my dining room 3 hours each time trying to pitch me a product. And when I told them, and my husband told them it was out of our budget, they wouldn't take no for an answer. And their entire sales pitch was not from an unbiased marketing standpoint. It was from a salesy, pushy standpoint. And that's a problem that I've had with a lot of like marketing in general for years, is that it's very pushy, very salesy. And at the end of the day, your potential customer that you have just doesn't like that at all. They don't like it. Your average everyday consumer wants to form their own opinions, and they want to educate themselves on your brand, and they don't want a sales pitch, you know? And that's like the whole principle behind my digital marketing company. At the end of the day, though, like that is what my digital marketing company has been about, is focusing less on the sales pitch and more on the educational aspect of it, because statistics show most consumers have done like 90% of their research on your company, on the product you offer, and At the end of the day, it comes down to how knowledgeable your company is with what you do. And that's why the mindset of changing digital marketing to feature things like that, that's why my company is more of an unbiased educational marketing approach, because people don't want sales pushes. People want genuine, honest storytelling. They don't want a marketing pitch. They want like honesty. They want genuality. They want to know that you know what you're doing at the end of the day. And that, like I said, that's what I know how to do. That's what I know how to do. And now I do it for myself. I do it for other companies. I get paid to do that for other companies. And it is probably one of the most like humbling things in the world. Having my growth plan and knowing where I want to be at the end of 2023, developing a 2024 like growth plan, and really just like diving into my company is like where I'm focused at right now. I love my YouTube. Don't get me wrong. I know in December I posted a video about how I almost thought about leaving YouTube because my channel wasn't really growing. I wasn't getting a lot of followers, wasn't getting a lot of interactions, and I was like, 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 do I really want to be on YouTube anymore? And at the end of the day, and at the end of that video, I was like, I'm still going to be on YouTube. You may not see as many uploads from me. I did do Vlogmas, so I uploaded every single day during Vlogmas. I loved it. It was fun. And I still have my YouTube. Obviously, I'm still uploading to my YouTube channel like I just did a Yucca palette review. And at the end of the day, I still love coming onto my YouTube channel because it still is that stress reliever for me where I can talk to you guys, and I can, talk to you about makeup, and I can show you my unfiltered thoughts, opinions about makeup that has come out, and give you a really unbiased, like journalistic approach to my reviews. YouTube is still going to be there. Don't worry. I'm still going to be uploading to YouTube, but I'm also focusing on my own company, growing my digital marketing company, and also finding guest writers for Everything Beauty News, and really growing Everything Beauty News into like just an unbiased beauty news outlet channel that features all sorts of creators. So that's where we stand. And my makeup is done. Hope you guys like it. I did use the Natasha Denona Yucca palette. If you didn't see kind of like in between cuts, it's the Natasha Denona Yucca palette. I do have a full review of that on my channel, and I also have swatch comparisons. But at the end of the day, like, that is what my focus is on. That's what's been going on in my personal life. Is I work for myself now, and I have my own digital marketing company, and it's called SLR Photography and Design. And ironically, the logo, I took inspiration from J.R.R. Tolkien, because Tolkien, the way that he writes his initials is really similar to like how I decided to design my logo, is my initials stacked in a way that it looks like a graphic. And I've always signed my artwork like that, and incorporating that into my own company was really inspiring. And I still do portrait photography on the side. It's not something huge that I do. I just do every once in a while. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys liked this little chit chat get ready with me. And if you guys like content like this, please consider subscribing, and I hope I get to see you in my next video. Bye!